Good morning, and thank you for joining our webinar on Emissions Reduction Alberta's Methane Reduction Deployment Program. We're glad you could join us today so we can share this great opportunity with you. I would like to start today with a land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we at ERA acknowledge the privilege of living, working, and investing on traditional territories, which include Treaty 6, 7, and 8 nations, Otipemsuak, Métis Nation of the Métis Nation, Inuit, First Nations, and all others who live and care for these lands. We are dedicated to promoting a culture of collaboration and meaningful engagement. Before we get into the agenda, I'd like to start by going through a few housekeeping items just to make sure we get the most out of our time today. First of all, we're expecting over 270 participants, so everyone's microphone is muted to avoid unintentional background noise. If you encounter technical challenges related to the webinar connection, please email methane@eralberta.ca. However, if you can't resolve your technical issues or if you need to leave early, don't worry. The recording of this webinar will be posted on the MRDP program website page shortly. The recording will include both the presentation and the live Q&A with audio. Speaking of the Q&A, on the top right of your screen, you'll notice a question mark icon. Clicking this will open a side panel where you can type in your questions. You can submit your question anytime during the webinar. In terms of an agenda for today's webinar, first we'll talk briefly about ERA. Then we will launch into an introduction of Modern West Advisory and the Methane Emissions Leadership Alliance and provide an overview of their roles in the program. Next, we'll provide an overview of the Methane Reduction Deployment Program, or MRDP. We'll then cover some key points about the program, including eligibility criteria and the applicant journey. We'll also provide some tips for anyone that's interested in applying to the program. Finally, for the Q&A, if we don't address your question, you're welcome to follow up with us afterwards. My name is Luca Jungen, and I'm the Director of Efficiency Program Delivery at ERA.
And my name is Blake Wickland. I'm the Executive Director of the Methane Emissions Leadership Alliance, or MELA. Luca and I will be trading off back and forth today as we talk about the recently announced MRDP, and we'll both be here after the presentation to answer questions during the Q&A period.
Thanks, Blake. It's always a pleasure to share the story of ERA and the impact of our work. So who is ERA, and how do we fit into all of this? ERA is a key delivery partner of the Government of Alberta. ERA also receives federal funding from some programs that helps leverage provincial funding. Since 2009, when Alberta introduced Canada's first industrial carbon pricing system, ERA has reinvested those funds into technologies that reduce emissions and grow the economy. Our role is to de-risk projects in that critical stage between research and commercialization. And in some cases, such as for the MRDP, we support fully commercialized technologies. We do this through a competitive, transparent funding process that ensures alignment with both government priorities and industry needs. Our vision is simple: a competitive, diversified, low-emissions Alberta economy that measures success in both economic and environmental terms. Our mission is to accelerate the development and adoption of innovative solutions ranging from clean technology and energy efficiency to recycling, water, and land management. We are proud our operations are lean and cost-effective, and we maximize value for Albertans. As I touched on earlier, ERA mainly receives its funding from the Government of Alberta through the Technology Innovation Emissions Reduction, or TIER Fund. This fund is sourced from Alberta's large emitters who are required to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions to meet regulated targets under Alberta's climate change regulations. The TIER Fund is a cornerstone of Alberta's climate strategy. It provides a clear line of sight from the industrial carbon price that industry pays to investment in the solutions industry needs to reduce emissions and support competitiveness. The support from the Government of Alberta through the TIER Fund is essential for ERA to continue driving innovation and sustainability in the province. This partnership enables us to make impactful investments that contribute to Alberta's economic growth and emissions reduction goals. We are strongly aligned with the Government of Alberta's priorities, advancing key areas like CCUS, energy efficiency, materials and minerals, and artificial intelligence. This alignment ensures that our investments support the province's strategic goals and drives meaningful progress. And we know that methane is a potent greenhouse gas, more than 28 times stronger than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. Alberta is a global leader in monitoring, managing, and reducing these emissions. The province has reduced 52% of methane emissions from the conventional oil and gas sector since 2014. 17 million tons of emissions have been prevented from being released through technology funding. The province was the first oil and gas producing jurisdiction to put requirements on emissions from flaring starting in the early 1990s. It was also the first regional government in North America to set a methane emissions reduction target for the oil and gas sector. And the MRDP will continue to build on this success. I'll now pass it over to Blake, who will provide an overview of Modern West Advisory and MELA.
Thanks, Luca. The Methane Reduction Deployment Program is delivered by Modern West Advisory, or MWA, on behalf of ERA, working hand in hand with industry leaders to help deliver real methane emissions reductions across Alberta. Modern West is a carbon accounting and markets consulting firm located in Calgary and operating worldwide. The Modern West team, led by Zainab Dadashi and Marin Blair, is striving to provide the most seamless experience possible to participants, eligible contractors, and ERA alike. The Methane Emission Leadership Alliance, or MELA, is a not-for-profit organization consisting of service and technology providers with a common goal of strengthening our valued industry through methane emissions reduction. I will be working alongside Modern West and ERA to help deliver the Methane Reduction Deployment Program through industry engagement and outreach. I will now pass it back to Luca, who will provide an overview of the Methane Reduction Deployment Program. Luca?
Thanks, Blake. ERA's MRDP will help Alberta-based owners and operators of upstream oil and gas facilities deploy technology that reduce, detect, and quantify methane emissions. The program will remain in market until March 31st, 2029, or until funding is fully allocated. The MRDP provides up to $1 million per project to help Alberta oil and gas producers deploy proven methane-reducing technologies that improve efficiency, reduce emissions, and future-proof operations. With a focus on commercial-ready solutions, the program aims to significantly cut methane emissions while supporting economic growth and regulatory readiness. There's a $1 million cap of funding per parent company to help ensure we get a good mix of participants. There's also a minimum $25,000 funding request to help ensure we are using our administration dollars effectively. ERA may adjust the funding requirements based on program uptake. In terms of eligible participants, you must be an upstream and midstream oil and gas participant, located in Alberta, have an ability to legally conduct business in Alberta, be part of an aggregate facility or not regulated under tier. You must also accept all program terms and conditions and meet eligibility and compliance requirements. In terms of eligible projects, they must be started on or after January 1st, 2025. They must consist of implementing one or more eligible technologies at an eligible facility. They must be completed on or before the project completion date. So this is no longer than March 31st, 2029, or within 2 years of acceptance, whichever comes first. For eligible costs, they must be incurred between November 12th, 2025, so our program launch date, and March 31st, 2029. Eligible costs include fees, so no more than 10% of your total eligible costs, overhead, admin, internal expenses, which can be no more than 50% of your total costs, project equipment, construction equipment, and also labor. Please refer to the project cost guide on our website for more detailed information. I will now pass it back to Blake, who will provide an overview of eligible contractors and technologies, as well as how to register in the online application portal.
Thanks, Luca. While the participants are the organizations applying for the funding from the program, the eligible contractors are absolutely essential to the execution and success of the projects. Think of eligible contractors as any other business other than the participant that will be providing work within the project. Service providers such as electric and instrumentation, as well as mechanical companies, technology providers or distributors, and engineering firms are all eligible contractors within the program and will be selected as partners during the participants' application process. To become an eligible contractor, simply register in the portal and in the process review the contractor code of conduct as well as the T's and C's. You will then show up on a list where your organization can be selected by participants. Though you are not required to provide any documentation, you will be required to attest to the fact that documents such as an Alberta business license, WCB clearance letter, insurance coverage, and an active GST number are available and will be provided upon request. We'll now take a look at the eligible technologies for the program. As a whole, the eligible technologies for this program are commercially available, reduced methane emissions, and are TRL 8+. There are currently no specific funding amounts tied to a specific technology type. However, we may need to apply incentive caps to specific technology types to ensure a broad range of technology uptake. Projects can be aggregated at multiple locations using multiple subcategory technologies within the same economic region, as long as they fall under the same technology type category. An example of this would be aggregating multiple locations around the Edson area where you would be installing electric instrumentation, instrument air, and electric pumps, as they all fall under technology type C. If you have a technology that does not fall under any of these categories and is TRL 8+, we do have a new eligible technology application that you can use. Now let's go through some of the categories of eligible technologies. And keep in mind, this is not an exhaustive list at this point. Type A, methane slip from engine operations. This is focused on the reduction of unburned methane in natural gas engines. This can be achieved in many ways, including the optimization of the engine, rebuilding or retrofitting or treating the exhaust. Type B, routine venting from tanks and compression. This category has two main focus areas, destruction and conservation. Think of this as if you are simply destroying the methane or if you'll be doing some work with it, such as supplementing fuel to a piece of equipment. Type C is pneumatics, electrification of instruments or pumps, instrument air or nitrogen conversions, vent gas capture for destruction or conservation, and removal of bleeding devices all fit well into this category. Type D, surface casing vent flow. Downhole solutions less than 300 meters cubed per day and capture solutions fit in this category. Type E, casing gas capture. This is casing gas capture for destruction or conservation. Type F, digital solutions. Things like advanced process control and optimization, use of machine learning or AI to reduce methane emissions. And type G, other. This category is for the rest of the technologies that might not fit into the other categories. High slippage from catalytic heaters, heater optimization, electricity generation from captured gas, and solution gas management all fit in this category. There's also a new eligible technology application, as I said. It's available if your project or technology is commercially available, ready for deployment, but really doesn't fit in the categories that we just went through. So now let's discuss how you can get registered within the methane reduction deployment program. Our goal with the application portal is to provide an easy to use system for participants and eligible contractors alike. To access the portal, simply visit ERA's website where you will find the program specific page and then click on the register or login button. This is going to take you to the portal. Next, we're going to click on the register button. First, you will create a user account for yourself. This includes some information such as name, email, and phone number, followed by an email verification and signing into your profile. Please note that you should use your mobile number, as this will be used to sign into the portal using text message two-step verification for security purposes. Next, you can choose to either create a new company or join an existing company if your organization has already been created by someone else. Please ensure you create the correct company type as either participant or eligible contractor. Here you will be asked for some details about your organization. As a participant, it's as simple as entering the legal name of the company. Once your company has been created, or you have joined an existing company through request or invite, you can proceed with creating a project. The pre-application process includes a list of 8 simple questions about the project to ensure it qualifies for an application. Please review the questions carefully and answer to the best of your ability. Once the pre-application has been submitted, the program team will review the inputs and approve the project pre-application or ask for some additional clarification. Once approved, the applicant will receive a project number and will then be able to move on to the full application. Next, you'll submit your full project application. This is where you'll go through a much more comprehensive process, including the submittal of such documentation as GHG quantifications, project costing workbook, project price quotes, technology specification sheets, VRU refurbishment supporting documents, if necessary, declaration of funding from other sources, and there's an online form for participant application. The program application portal reference link provides access to additional program documentation such as GHG emissions quantification methodologies, project costing workbook, various templated forms such as the declaration of funding from other sources, authorization to pay an eligible contractor, etc. Applicants will be able to submit and manage project applications as well as invite eligible contractors to specific projects. The process from pre-application through the application and review stage is designed to be as smooth as possible while ensuring proper due diligence within the program. The review of the application is a 5-day timeline, keeping in mind that missing or incorrect information or more complex projects may increase this length. Once approved by both Modern West and Emission Reduction Alberta, the participant agreement letter, as well as terms and conditions, will be sent out. These must be returned by the participant within 10 business days, and the signature day will become the project effective date, in which the forecasted completion date is based on and the period in which the funding is reserved. For contractors, we have a similar process. Remember, a contractor is anyone that will be doing work inside the project other than the participant. To create an eligible contractor, you will select to either create a contractor or join an existing company. You will then be asked to provide some basic information about your company, such as legal name, business address. Please note, if your organization is comprised of multiple locations in Alberta, I would suggest using the head office as the main business address for your company. All of your branches can run under that single company, and anyone who will be involved can be invited to join or request to join. You'll be asked for business type, technology types you supply or support, and the economic regions that you support as well. During this process, you will also agree to the Contractor Code of Conduct, which can be found in the Resources section of the Methane Reduction Deployment Program website, and confirm that your business has all of the necessary documentation and will provide upon request. With that, I'll pass it back to Luca to provide an overview of NGIF, then we'll get into some Q&A portion of the webinar. Back to you, Luca.
Great, thanks, Blake. ERA's MRDP runs concurrently with the NGIF's Accelerator's new Methane Reduction Demonstration Program. So this is a $7 million initiative designed to advance near commercial technologies. ERA and NGIF will work closely to deliver these two separate and distinct offerings in support of industry. The NGIF's Accelerator's new Methane Reduction Demonstration Program will fast-track the commercialization of methane reduction technologies through market-driven selection, supporting pilot testing and field demonstrations. Please visit NGIF's website, shown at the top of this slide, to learn more. Okay, so before we get into our Q&A session, we wanted to highlight that following the webinar today, we will upload an FAQ document to the website. On this slide, we have also provided a summary of the most common questions we have received to date. So for the first one, what kind of projects qualify for funding? So only retrofits or upgrades at existing facilities, so brownfield projects, are eligible. New construction or major expansions, so greenfield projects, are not supported under this program. Number two, how does tier regulation affect eligibility for the program? Facilities can participate if they are aggregated or not regulated under tier at the time of signing the participant agreement. Changes to the tier regulation allowing smaller facilities to leave tier will not affect eligibility if the agreement has already been signed before the changes take effect. Number three, do projects need to go beyond legal requirements to qualify? The answer is yes. Projects must reduce methane emissions beyond current regulations. Activities done only to meet compliance are not eligible. If a project includes both compliance and additional reductions, incentives may be prorated. That said, these projects will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Number four, are there stacking limits in this program? So yes, participants can stack funding with other programs. However, you must disclose other funding sources, and the total amount of funding cannot exceed 100% of project costs. Okay, if you've made it this far in our webinar and you're still awake, this is your opportunity to ask any questions that you have for Blake, Maren, and myself. If you haven't already, please type your question into the questions section of the control panel, which is typically on the right-hand side of your screen. At this time, I would also like to introduce my colleague, Anna Filocha, our marketing strategist for efficiency programming, who will moderate the question period. Anna has been behind the magic curtain of this webinar collecting questions. Anna, what do we have for questions so far?
Thanks, Luca. Hi, everybody, and thank you to everyone who submitted questions so far. We have a lot of great questions, and we likely won't have time to get to them all today. If we don't get to your question, please submit it to methane@eralberta.ca, and we'll be happy to respond to you one-on-one. Please also note that we'll be using your questions to inform our frequently asked questions, and we'll send a link to the updated question version of all our attendees following the webinar. Okay, so our first question is, who is responsible for the applications and document submissions? Maren, would you please take this one?
Thanks, Anna. Yes, the project applications, I think as Blake has already mentioned, must be submitted by the participant. However, during the application process, participants may identify which eligible contractors they're working with, and they may also invite eligible contractors to collaborate on any applications that they submitted at any time. This will allow eligible contractors to submit some more supporting information required for the project.
Thanks, Maren. We have another question about applications for you. Is it possible to include multiple technologies in one application?
Yes, so separate applications must be submitted for each parent technology type, but you can submit one application for multiple technologies under the same type. And I think Blake already highlighted this, but another example, you can submit one application that includes both pneumatic electrification and pneumatic device vent gas capture, as both technologies are under the same technology type, parent technology, for example, pneumatics. If you have a storage tank vapor recovery project and an advanced process control and optimization project, you would need to submit two applications as the projects have different parent technology types, for example, routine venting and digital solutions. As well, it's important to remember that projects being aggregated must also be occurring in the same economic region.
Thanks, Maren. Moving on, here is a question about methane slip and engine upgrades. This one will be for Blake. What are your current options for methane slip from lean burn engines? And does this program supply support any natural gas engine upgrade or any certain makes or certain models?
There's a range of technology options available to reduce methane slip, such as what I understand is basically a full engine rebuild. However, as a first step, I'd always recommend discussing the different options with your technology provider of choice or the original manufacturer of that engine. The methane slip category applies to any natural gas engine which is installed at an eligible facility that is experiencing methane slip. So there's likely to be multiple different manufacturers there. There's also likely to be different solutions based on the makes and models, but the program applies equally.
Thanks, Blake. Now let's address eligibility. Are emissions monitoring tools or mobile units eligible for funding? And Blake, could you please address this one as well?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Measurement and monitoring equipment like drones, as an example, must be paired with a permanent methane reduction technology to qualify. So simply detecting methane isn't enough. It needs to be paired with something that is physically reducing methane emissions as well. Mobile units on their own are generally not eligible unless the equipment remains installed at the facility with the methane reduction solution.
Thanks, Blake. The next question focuses on carbon offsets. Are projects funded through this program eligible to generate carbon offsets? And Luca, could you please take this one?
Yeah, sure. So participation in the program requires that participants forfeit the ability to generate carbon offsets in any format for the projects that are receiving funding. Therefore, a participant cannot generate any offsets or any environmental performance credits, also known as EPCs, when receiving funding from this program.
Great, thank you, Luca. Let's clarify intellectual property and confidentiality. If a project is accepted, does the IP become public? What information does the ERA share for funded projects? Does the ERA enter into confidentiality or non-disclosure agreements with participants? And this one will be for you, Luca, as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few questions to unpack here, but under normal circumstances, all of the IP remains with the original owner. ERA does require public reporting of the project outcomes and learnings, but any business competitive confidentiality is maintained with the participant. Application details are kept confidential on a permanent basis. Once the project has been completed, public reporting of outcomes and learnings is required. So ERA collects and publicly reports key outcomes data, such as emissions reductions, things like job creation, for all funded projects. And then ERA does not enter into non-disclosure or confidentiality agreements with applicants. All applicants are already covered under ERA's privacy and confidentiality policies, which are described on our website at eralberta.ca. Upon funding award, ERA will enter into a legal participant agreement with the project proponent, and the agreement includes terms that pertain to confidentiality and privacy for both ERA and the proponent.
Thanks, Luca. The next question is, are there any courses or training programs available? And Maren, would you please address this one?
Yeah, happy to. We will be posting all webinar recordings to the ERA website, and there will be additional webinars as we go through the program added to the website in future. For technology-specific training, we suggest consulting your technology or service providers.
Great, thank you, Maren. There is a question about eligibility for past ERA funding recipients. We have participated in other ERA funding programs. Does this disqualify us as we have exceeded the funding max? Luca, would you please take this one?
Yeah, sure. So past recipients for ERA funding are eligible to participate in our methane reduction deployment program, provided their project is distinct in scope from the work that was previously funded by ERA.
Thanks, Luca. Next question is about projects. This one will probably go to Maren. Could you please clarify the definition of project? If we wanted to deploy the same technology at multiple sites under a deployment program, would this be eligible to aggregate sites to maximize funding?
Yes, thanks. I'll clarify again. You can aggregate your projects as long as they're in the same technology type. So example, again, electrification and instrument air together under pneumatics, and as long as they're in the same economic region. So for example, the Red Deer region, I think it's quite broad. And you'll see in your application the economic regions. So yes, but if there's different questions, definitely reach out to us.
Thanks, Maren. The next question is, can you please provide a rationale for the transfer of all environmental attributes, carbon offsets, to the ERA? This will significantly impact projects as environmental attributes are key in offsetting OPEX associated with operating projects. And this one, Luca, can you please address this one?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Anna. And I appreciate the question. It's definitely a question we've received in past programs as well. So yeah, I can appreciate there's a challenge there when making a business decision. I know the environmental attributes obviously do have value. So what we encourage people to do is, I guess, evaluate the funding that comes from this program and to make that decision whether the offsets are more valuable or the environmental attributes are more valuable. And if so, then perhaps participating in our program is not the best decision for you. But just to make sure, we're using our funding effectively. That's why we require that anyone that does receive incentives through our program does not claim their environmental attributes, and that just helps us avoid double counting there.
Thank you, Luca. And we have another question about eligibility. This one is for you as well. Are colleges and universities eligible applicants?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So we are really focused on upstream and midstream oil and gas facilities through this program. So at this time, it would not be an ideal fit for colleges or universities.
Thanks for clarifying. Another question is, how about technologies that can detect and quantify these emissions, such as methane slip, if they're paired with a mitigation solution? And this one will be for Blake.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, you can have sensors, mobile or stationary sensors, paired with an actual emission reduction solution. The sensors on their own, whether they're stationary or mobile, are not eligible for the funding unless they are paired with something that is physically reducing the methane emissions.
Thanks, Blake. The next question is, can a single project cover upgrading multiple engines on multiple sites, or would each engine be its own project? And Maren, would you please take this one?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Again, I think that all those sort of upgrades or retrofits for engines would fall under sort of the methane slip project technology type. So they could be aggregated together as long as they were in a similar economic region or the same economic region.
Thanks, Maren. And Luca, can you please confirm if funding is capped at 50%?
Yes, that's correct. So participants in the MRDP can receive up to 50% of their project costs covered, up to that $1 million cap that we mentioned earlier.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, can a lean to rich project occur on an engine which received funding for rich to lean conversion under speed? And Luca, this one is for you as well.
Yeah, I do appreciate the very specific, I guess, project-related questions we're getting in. What I do encourage, if you do have, very detailed questions, just to reach out to our team. Just the intent of our webinar today is to provide a more high-level overview of our program and eligibility, but we'll definitely be able to get into the specifics if you reach out to us directly.
Thanks, Luca. Next question is, how many applications can a contractor do? And Maren, can you please take this one?
So eligible contractors could be invited to probably a great number of projects by the participants. So I don't think there's any limit to the amount of participation an eligible contractor would be doing. But yeah, I think that will be good.
Thank you. The next question is for Blake. Are flare stacks an eligible technology for casing gas destruction?
Within the program, we do want to see clean combustion. So for destruction, something like a combustor would be an eligible project in that. Incinerators, I know there's differences between combustors and incinerators, but as long as it is clean combustion, what we're not trying to do is encourage more flaring, more open flaring. Hope that makes sense.
Thanks, Blake. Our next question is, do participants need to pay for the entire project before being reimbursed, or is 50% funding granted upon project approval? And this one goes to Luca.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Great question. So the way we do it is we appreciate that there's costs involved, for example, at the procurement stage of a project. So what we do is once we've provided you with an approved incentive amount, you can claim up to 50% of that incentive amount once you provide us documentation to show that you've procured your equipment. The remaining 50% of the incentive will be paid once you have submitted your project completion documentation. So we'll be reviewing receipts, checking serial numbers, doing some QC on your application, and then once that's complete, you get the remaining funds.
Thanks, Luca. The next question is, if a system or process designed to conserve or destroy methane emissions, that is VRU retrofit to conserve tag emissions, is undersized or otherwise not operating correctly, would a project to get that system operating correctly be eligible project? And Luca, would you please address this one?
Actually, maybe I would pass that back over to Blake. He may be better able to answer that.
Yeah, I'm going to say kind of a similar answer that you had earlier, Luca, on that one. Some of these projects are going to have to be discussed more on a case-by-case basis. What isn't eligible is repair to an existing facility or trying to bring your facility to compliance if you are outside of say, a compliance within the regulation. With that being said, though, if there is a system that you can provide data that shows that by doing these retrofits, you would end up reducing further methane, then yes. If it is simply the fact that the current system should be reducing methane, but it's not reducing methane, repairing that system would not be eligible as far as I'm concerned. Again, I would highly encourage anybody with more project specific questions to really reach out either to ERA or myself, and I'd be happy to discuss with you.
Thanks for clarifying, Blake. Our next question is there a current methane slip regulation at this time mandated by the government? And perhaps, Luca, you can take this one.
Yeah, again, all our requirements in terms of eligibility for methane slip specifically will be, outlined in your application once you go onto the portal and submit your technology for funding. So please just refer to the program documents in the portal when submitting in terms of, eligibility requirements, including, regulations, etc.
Thank you, Luca. And the next question is to Maren. Will you make publicly available the eligible contractors list?
Thanks, Anna. I'm not sure of what we mean by publicly, but if you're registered as a participant in the portal or as an eligible contractor in the portal, you will be able to see a directory of all of the companies that are present in the program.
If I can maybe just quickly add to that answer that Maren provided, and really the intent of allowing that is just to give people, for example, that maybe don't have a contractor that they're familiar with, the ability to choose from a drop-down list of contractors who have met our eligibility requirements. And this way, you could facilitate submitting an application if you already know there's a contractor there that is ready to participate.
Yeah, thank you both for clarifying. Our next question is, could methane destruction or reduction in natural gas distribution utilities be eligible? Wondering if the midstream definition would cover this industry sector. And Blake, could you take this one, please?
I might have to lean on Luca on that one as well. I am going to say that I don't believe that utilities would fit into the midstream, but Luca, would you be able to maybe take a poke at that? And if we can't answer that, I'd be happy to look into that after this and get you a correct answer.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. I think really, as we mentioned before, our program is predominantly focused on upstream and midstream oil and gas facilities. But yeah, if you have specific facilities that you're considering, please reach out to us and we can evaluate it on a case-by-case basis. And also just a reminder, like we do have our eligible technologies list that's available on our website. However, if you think there's a technology there, that can result in methane emissions reductions, and you think it would be a good fit for a program, we're always open to exploring whether that should be added to the list.
Thank you. Our next question is, when will the GHG quantification requirements be available? And this one is for Maren.
Thanks, Anna. The GHG quantification documents are available to participants once they have been approved in the portal. And then the participants will be able to share those documents with the eligible contractors that they are working with.
Thank you, Maren. Our next question is, are projects that involve implementing a leak detection and repair program that is more stringent than current regulations eligible for ERA funding? And this one is for Luca, please.
Yeah, good question. So I know in previous programs in Alberta, LDAR, leak detection and repair has been included in scope. The challenge we found with LDAR is that, verification, I guess, of reducing the methane emissions is a bit subjective. So for our program, we've decided to make that ineligible. I guess the one circumstance, where we'd be open to is if you can work with someone who, I guess, has a solution available that can, detect those leaks, and then you have a way of verifying that those leaks have then, been fixed. We're definitely open to that. But again, just past challenges in previous programs has shown that while on paper it sounds relatively easy to implement, in practicality it is a bit more challenging for us to verify that. So again, if you have a solution in mind, please reach out to us and we'll definitely take a look.
Thank you, Luca. Our next question is, will third-party verification be required of projects? And this one is for Maren, please.
Thanks. I'll probably also tag Luca in on this, but no, there is no third-party verification requirement. I'll let Luca maybe expand on any future requirements.
Yeah, and no, that's definitely right. What we will be doing is, doing an internal verification. I guess you can call it like a desktop verification of the information that you provide as part of your workbooks in the portal. So if we do have follow-up questions, we'll definitely reach out to you to discuss.
Thank you both. Our next question is, as a service provider, my understanding is that we have to apply as a contractor. Then do I need an operator client to submit an application to use our technology? This one is from Maren, please.
Yes, that would be correct. So once a participant has decided to submit an application and they've maybe identified you as their service provider, then at that point they would include you as their indicated eligible contractor. And if they require your additional support, they can invite you to the project on the portal to help facilitate uploading technical documentations or price invoicing, and etc.
Thank you, Maren. I think we have time for about 2 more questions. And the next question is, can you please remind how can I find the list of current technology providers or contractors? And this one will be for you, Maren, as well.
Thanks. Yes, and I did see a follow-up question that whether or not it was only visible to primary participants. It is visible to everyone. It is a bit hidden in the portal right now. So we will design a little bit of a better button. But if you have your company profile and you see the join or add another company button, you can click on that and it will show the current directory of contractors and participants. But yes, we will design a little bit better functionality there.
Great, thanks, Maren. And the last question for today is, in the case of methane slip reduction, are actual stack emissions testing required or are engineering estimates acceptable? And this one will go to Blake, please.
I might want Maren to jump in on this one as well. I think there's multiple ways that you can look at this. I would highly encourage whoever asked that question to just reach out to us and discuss, what they have currently for data. Obviously, the thumb in the air, I think that this has some methane coming out of it. It is probably not the answer, but it's going to be a case-by-case basis on what we would require and maybe what's available. So again, just reach out to the project team, and our goal is to, try to make this as easy as possible on you. So if we all start out in the right spot, then we'll get to the finish line quicker.
Nice, thank you. Oh, there's one good one. Can the participants be the contractors? Maren, could you please address this one?
I might ask this person to reach out for additional clarification. In the case where the participant would be like the oil and gas company, and I'm assuming maybe you're asking if they could install their own technology, then there's some eligible cost questions there. So I'd reach out and discuss that for us. If you are an eligible contractor who wants to submit an application, then the answer to that is no, the participant company would have to submit the application, and then you'd be invited to join. Blake, I don't know if you had any additional information you wanted to add there.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Maren. So if you are a participant, which is an oil and gas company, let's just remember that, the participant can do the work on their own if they have all of the people internally. Anyone outside of that, if you're even a contractor that is working for the participant, or if you are an E&I company, a mechanical company, you're an eligible contractor and thus would just have to get registered. And I can't stress enough how easy it is to become an eligible contractor in the program. So please, I encourage everybody to just go and get registered, and then you're ready for these projects.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Blake, Luca, and Maren for addressing those questions. Luca, I will pass it back to you to close the webinar.
Thank you, Anna. With that, our webinar is drawing to a close for today. We invite you to visit the MRDP program website at eralberta.ca/methane. As already mentioned, you will find guidelines. We'll get the FAQs up there shortly and other supporting documents, including a recording of the webinar shortly. Please register on the portal to begin your MRDP journey. If you have unanswered questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to the program team at methane@eralberta.ca. Thank you for joining our webinar today, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.